Hey everybody, Marcel here from Kinsta. Today Tor-Björn Fjellner joins us for a short interview about his contributions to WordPress and how Kinsta is helping him by sponsoring his contributions. Hi Tobi.
Hi Marcel.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And you, still good?
Excellent,
Yep.
Yes, I'm still good, yes. Let's just dive in. Can you please tell the audience how it all started with WordPress for you?
Okay, so I have always been interested in computers, and then I'm Swedish, but I have been living and working outside of Sweden since 2001. First 3 years in Russia, and then I moved to a mobile operator in Sultanate of Oman, and I started blogging to tell my friends in Moscow mainly, but some people in Sweden also, about what it is like living in an Arabic country. That was not WordPress yet, but later on, around 2010, 2011, I decided to make my blog trilingual in English, Swedish and Russian. And to do that, I started using WordPress. So that's where I met WordPress. I helped a little bit with translation of the theme I was working by getting in touch with the theme developer. And then when I had some low time around 2016, started doing more translations directly on the WordPress ecosystem. And very quickly I found myself being the only active translation editor for Swedish. So I started expanding that team when I found people that would fit in. And we got a small but stable team now. We're basically 2 active GTs. Then there are a couple of people who still are GTs formally, but they are busy with other things. And that is what you always have with volunteer work. Life is in the first place, and then when you feel like it, then you can contribute a bit, and therefore I'm totally fine with it. But yes, I will try to find some more people. At the same time, I was also actively helping other people to navigate the translation universe. We have Slack as a chat communication for WordPress contributors, and I, being in parallel with working with telecom, I am an experienced translator, so I quickly understood how the system worked for the contributors, and I could help people finding their ways around. And suddenly I was one of the global mentors for WordPress polyglots, and well, that's like 8-9 years now and just going on. In parallel, I also am the most active support contributor in the quite quiet Swedish forums, but well, that's the main things. Then of course
Cool.
I have been doing other things in parallel, like speaking on some online events and also on WordCamp Europe in Athens a couple of years ago. And I was one of the co-organizers of a WordCamp in Stockholm 2017-ish. I was living already then in Barcelona, so I was contributing and helping with these things remotely. And then I just went to Stockholm when the very conference happened.
Yeah, cool.
So those are the main things. And then just also I have been participating a bit in and initiating some things about how to make it easier to find out about contributing to WordPress. So mentorship and discoverability, and perhaps nudging how things work for a person who is using WordPress to make it possible to figure out that, oh, it turns out that I can actually help WordPress to become a more healthy ecosystem by
Yes.
contributing things that I love or know how to do. And the biggest blocking we have today is that a lot of people just never find out about this opportunity.
No, there are
So,
a lot of
yeah.
people that don't know that there is a huge community behind WordPress.
Yeah, I mean, they would see this conversation between you and me only after they have learned somewhere else that yes, you can participate in WordPress. WordPress is something that is built upon contributions from thousands of people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's what it is.
Well, when you just do a one-click install with your web host, which might be Kinsta or someone else, then there is nothing there to tell you what WordPress really is. I mean, yeah, you use your phone and you're happy that it works. Things like, okay, Android, this is actually a system you can contribute to because it is open, and of course, like with WordPress, a lot of sponsored contributors, but there are a lot of people who just see that I can make a little corner of this software better for me and for other people. I mean, by doing things I still like to see myself, I make it better for thousands of other users.
That's what contributing is all about, making it better for other people, including yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
So you already said that you lived in Sweden. Right now you live in Barcelona, right?
Yeah, just outside of Barcelona, yeah.
Just outside of
Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Out the window, yeah, I'm still just outside of Barcelona.
And, well, Swedish is your first language, right?
Yeah, I am Swedish, so that's my native language.
Your native language.
Then I started learning Russian in school. So yeah, of course, I mean, in Sweden you can't grow up, you can't go to school without hearing a lot of English. We don't do dubbing of films and TV except for small children. I think it's the same in Netherlands.
Same in the Netherlands, we do subtitles.
Yeah, which means that you get used to hearing foreign languages and especially a lot of English.
Yes.
So English is always around you, and when I went to school, we started learning English when I was like 9 years old or something. So you can't get around from that, but I wasn't really interested in languages, which is funny now when you look back at it. But then when I went to secondary school, this was like when I was like 15 years old, I had to pick one more language in addition to English, and German actually. Long time ago, I studied German a few years.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I can still understand what the written German is about, but no, I don't speak German.
No.
But I had to pick one more language, selected Russian, and I kind of loved it. Grammar was more complicated, and it was like solving a logical problem to get a Russian sentence to work in all pieces.
I can imagine. Switching back to Swedish.
Yes.
And I know the Netherlands is a very small country, but in the Netherlands we have all kinds of dialects. You know, going from the north, like Frisian, we have like the west side of the Netherlands, and we have the southern of the Netherlands that also has a different dialect. How is that in Sweden, and how do you approach that in translations for WordPress?
So there are, of course, a lot of different dialects. I would say that there is still some kind of common normal Swedish that you have in writing, and that is what we are using. And still, dialects would have special words for tools that you had 200 years ago when you were working in the field, or for relationships between people and so on. There you may have it. Okay, so yeah, you may be talking about your granddaughter or something, and here there are some words that are common for all Sweden as well. Although, of course, yes, if you go to the southern part or the northern part, there will be alternatives that you could use. So it's quite easy to still figure this out. And WordPress itself and software, there you really don't have differences in the terminology, I would say.
Okay.
Of course, pronunciation is a different thing, but WordPress is mostly a written medium, so that is not a problem.
Do you also? I know for the Dutch language we have like a formal and an informal. And informal is the default. So if you want formal, you can download that and install that in your WordPress installation. Is that the same for Swedish? Do you have like a formal or just one Swedish translation?
We've got only one version of the Swedish translation, which I think is more than enough. Since early 70s, we have had a strong movement in Swedish towards using informal speech. Now you've got some pseudo-formal speech coming back, but we don't really use that in WordPress.
Okay. So in the beginning, you already told us about how contributing to WordPress is sometimes difficult for people to first discover that it is possible, and second, then take that step to basically start contributing, whether that is from your own home or office, or go to a contributor day or on a meetup. What advice would you give aspiring polyglots, people who like to translate, the English to their language or help translate WordPress? What advice would you give them in how they could could contribute to an open source project like WordPress?
So I would start by saying that there is probably more help, more support, and more information that you can find than you would expect, because many language teams have created style guides, and we have a system inside our translation platform. We've got something called Glossary, which is a database of typical terms in English. We always translate from English, by the way. So one thing you can do to become a better WordPress polyglot, besides knowing your language well and have a good feeling for the style, would be to make sure that you understand English a little bit better. That will help, because English is a tricky language, especially when you start putting a lot of nouns after each other. And figure out what this actually means. But okay, coming back to figuring out. So there is a lot of information to be had. So go to the WordPress site for your language and see if there is any additional information directly to be found in the menu. There may not be, and that is totally okay. Then I would say go to make.wordpress.org, where you will find a lot of information about how you can contribute to WordPress and in what ways, and you will find links to almost all teams. There are like more than 20 different teams that are contributing in various ways to WordPress, and one of these teams is called Polyglots. So there is a site, make.wordpress.org/WordPress, where you will find about our team. You will be greeted by our blog, which is mainly a lot of weird posts where people are requesting to be assigned as translation editor for some plugin you have never heard of to a language that you may know a little bit about, but that's it. But if you dig a little bit deeper in the navigation menu, you will find out how you can join our chat channel, where we are very glad to help out when you get stuck and can show you where you will find more information. And also we've got our handbook, where you will find links to an enormous amount of information.
Yes.
So help is there to be had, and when you start translating, do it directly on the platform, because then when you have strings that contain words that are in your glossary, they will be underlined. You hover over them with your mouse, and then you will see how this word is supposed to be translated.
Yes.
Of course, you need to double check that the meaning of this word right here is what you actually wanted to say, because I mean, it may be different things. One word we often take as an example is post, which could be a noun when it is a post on a blog about something, an article. Post could be a verb to publish something, but in real life, post could also be something that holds up a lamp in the street. And in our glossary, if you find a word for post, I'm quite sure it won't be that lamp holding structure.
I'm pretty sure it is that too. Yeah, it's good that you said that, because the whole translation website where people can read the English strings and translate them to their own language has really improved in the last few years. And my favorite team to contribute to WordPress is the Polyglots team. I'm still active for the Dutch language, and it's so rewarding to see that all the developments really help you and the people that translate it to make translations even easier for WordPress. So thank you, Tobi.
I would say it's one of the teams where it's the easiest to get started.
Yes, that's what I keep saying to people, because a lot of people think contributing to WordPress is writing code, and that's not it. There is so much more to it, and if you want a low threshold to start contributing to WordPress, translating it to your own language or to another language which you are perfectly fine of using is like the perfect team to start joining. So thank you, Tobi, for this short interview. It gave us some insights in, where you come from in the WordPress universe, how you entered it, and what your current role is in contributing to WordPress. I'm very happy that you gave some advice to people that would want to start contributing to WordPress, and we are really honored to sponsor you from Kinsta for your contributions to the WordPress project. So thank you for joining me in this interview. For the people that are watching this video, thanks that you made it to the end, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Thank you.